everyone, and welcome to our podcast about NIL and kind of reflecting on this project. I'm Julian Zelensky. My role was the WordPress post gatherer. I gathered all this great information from my two partners here, along with writing the WordPress post. I'm joined by John Fulmer, who interviewed our athlete and put some really great quotes and some really great nuance into his questions when that interview was going on. And then I'm also here with Kenisha Johnson, who did our expert interview, which I was able to pull some other great quotes that she got into our NIL story. So we're going to answer a couple questions and kind of reflect on this process here along with myself. I'm going to start with you first here, Kenisha. What was one of the most challenging parts of your role of interviewing an expert, and why was that? What was the most challenging part in your opinion?
So really just finding someone who was reliable, I would say that was the most difficult part. I got turned away a lot, or people weren't responding, or they were responding and then they stopped responding. So just being able to actually get something valuable for the project, that was the biggest issue I had.
And John, I just want to follow that up with you. For interviewing an athlete, what was the most challenging part about that, and why?
Yeah, so today, in today's age, I think NIL is still very new, and I think finding an athlete that knows a lot and is very well knowledgeable about the topic of NIL was a little bit difficult. Luckily, we found someone that was pretty knowledgeable and could give us some valuable information, but I would say that was definitely the most difficult part for me.
I just want to kind of chime in and answer this question as well. For me, the most challenging part, and why, as kind of the writer and gatherer, it was kind of putting all these great resources that we got into a cohesive piece and story that kind of matched the rubric and description. There was a lot of different components that had to go into it, and I was really worried. John can attest. I kept texting him, is the writing good? Is the writing good? But I think it all worked out in the end because we all kind of got some great information. Another question I wanted to ask you guys, what was something, Kenisha, that you learned through the process of reporting on NIL?
So prior to participating in this project, I didn't really know much about sports in general. So this has kind of introduced me to a whole new facet of journalism, and learning kind of about NIL and its importance in college athletics in general. I would say that's the biggest thing I took away from the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, same thing for you. What was kind of something that you learned through this process?
I would say a little bit different than Kenisha. I feel that I'm pretty knowledgeable about college athletics and just athletics in general. But one thing that I wasn't aware of was all of the NIL court cases that are going on currently. NIL is still pretty new, and there's a lot of different cases coming out about them every day and different settlements being reached. So those settlements and things were things that I wasn't necessarily aware of before this project. So I'd say that's my biggest takeaway. Julian, what about you? What do you think was the biggest thing you took away from this process?
In terms of NIL, I feel like I try to be well-versed in the world of at least college sports. And for me, kind of the thing that I learned or took away was NIL is still so new. And even though the ruling was made 5 years ago, there's so many different nuances and different aspects to NIL. It makes it kind of like the wild, wild west still. 5 years down the road. And as John, you mentioned, the court cases add to that complication as well. So that's what I would say is kind of what I learned through this process. And that's what we're going to wrap it up here on that note. Thank you, John, Kenisha. Again, we're just reflecting on NIL. We're going to wrap it up and have a great day.